What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back for another review stream as we beat Fulham 2-1 yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in an impressive victory, really impressive victory. I thought it was our best performance of the season, totally dominant for pretty much 80 minutes up until Fulham scored, and then it was a bit of a nervy last 10 minutes, you got to say that. But I think there was top performances all over the pitch. We really started to play our football, building up from the back. I think the defence gave us a really good foundation yesterday with Romero, Dyer and Longley really passing out from the back. And, you know, it wasn't even Romero's strongest game, but just having him there to dink the ball over the midfield, that ball-playing ability to drive us forward, it just makes such a difference. And it feels like the shackles are off a little bit when Romero's playing and Sanchez isn't playing, because when Sanchez is playing, that whole right side are trying to like cover for him, and when Romero's there, it's like the shackles are off and we can actually move forward, play our football. And I thought that was a massive difference for us yesterday. That back three really like laid that foundations yesterday. Yeah, it just gives us that confidence, doesn't it, when we're trying to play football. And I kind of feel like there's no, like, unlike when on Wednesday night where there was a clear pressing trigger from the opposition. When Sanchez gets the ball, now is your time to trigger for the press, because you know that his passing is nowhere near as strong as the others, and he doesn't have the composure to play out from the back like the other defenders. But with Romero, Dyer and Longley in the back three, our passing was actually really strong, and we were able to get the play through Fulham a lot easier. And I think it's just the confidence it gives the whole team, just having him there, knowing that even if he's not 100%, that if you make a movement or if you're making space for yourself, he's very likely to find you. Whereas with Sanchez, it's kind of like you've got to be cautious all the time, and you've got to be aware that, you know, there's a chance he's going to lose the ball and all that kind of stuff. And you have to kind of have that at the back of your mind when we're in possession, and I think that makes you second guess yourself a lot of the time. Whereas the confidence it gave us with that back three was fantastic. And yeah, Romero really fitted in, but Longley as well. I think it wasn't just his confident passes and movement, it's the proper incisiveness of those passes and how it set up attacks. It happened a few times. I remember in the first half, a few times that I think chances were made because Longley's passing created space for the attackers, and it was really, really impressive. And I don't think it's a surprise either that Bentancur and Højbjerg had a much better game with those back three as well, because the passes they were receiving were a lot better than they were on Wednesday night, in better areas, better quality passes as well. And it meant that there was more space for them to play in the central areas when they did receive the ball, as opposed to Wednesday night. Yeah, absolutely right. And it wasn't just the back three which really laid the foundations. Like you say, Bentancur and Højbjerg, I thought they were really dominant throughout. And it was like, when you're coming into this game, everyone was like, yeah, Fulham have been really good this season. They've given Arsenal a hard game. They've given Liverpool a hard game. I thought it was like, I wouldn't say a stroll in the park, but just a totally dominant performance yesterday, creating chances at will. We were so unlucky not to score as many as we did. Sonny back on form, in my opinion, yesterday. But let's talk about Ryan Sessegnon, because when we were talking about the game yesterday, we were talking about Sessegnon and Emerson, talking about how wasteful they were being. But on reflection, I actually think Sessegnon had a really strong game yesterday. Obviously had his hand in the disallowed goal that Richarlison scored, had his hand in Harry Kane's goal as well. He was getting in those positions time and time again. He was taking on his man. Yes, he was a bit wasteful in his end product, but he was getting there time and time again. He was trying to influence the team and really putting in a strong performance in getting in those positions, hitting the byline and getting it past his man consistently. Yeah, I think in the second half that improved a lot. I think the first half he was a bit wasteful and it was a bit frustrating. I don't think he had the best start to the game, but once the second half came about, I think he was definitely getting in much more positions to hurt Fulham. He forced a brilliant save out of Leno, didn't he, when Leno tipped it around the post. I think he was actually starting to really threaten Fulham, and then obviously he got an assist for Kane's goal, which is a consequence of that, even though it was a bit of a miss hit of his first shot.
was a bit mishit, could have been a penalty, and then obviously he had the presence of mind to square it to Kane, and we got the goal. And I think actually, I think by the end of the match, you have to say he had a really good game, and it was good to see him fill in for Perisic in a good manner. And to be fair to him, against Southampton, he had a very good game. He got a goal, and he played really well. And then against Fulham at home, he's had another good game. So I think he has been pretty an able deputy. Obviously, look, Perisic is another level to what he provides on that left, let's be honest. But what we wanted was someone to come in and the quality not to drop too much. And I think hopefully Sessegnon provides that.
Yeah, and I think, completely right. You know, first game of the season, he showed a really good performance. And I think yesterday, growing into the game and gone better and better as the game wore on. And it was just so great to see that dominance from Spurs that we haven't seen this season. We just haven't seen that. We've seen us play really well on the counter-attack and really hurt teams on the counter-attack. But in this game, we were building up from the back, creating chances of will. Richarlison was a massive, massive plus to us yesterday. I mean, he did not stop running the whole game. He was like a bull in the china shop at times, really aggressive, going at it 100 miles per hour, nearly scored an absolutely fantastic goal with that volley that hit the post. And you know what I noticed about Richarlison? He's forming a few good relationships all over the pitch. He was linking up really nicely with Højbjerg for Højbjerg's goal. He was linking up really nicely with Sonny at times as well. And obviously his link up with Harry Kane is growing as well. So Richarlison seems as like he fits in like a glove already.
Yeah, and look, he seems to be a really popular member of the dressing room already. He seems to be very popular among the fan base, and that's only gonna that's what he lives off. That's what he thrives off, having that close bond. And obviously that's with Everton. Everyone said it, and you can see when those clips came out in the dressing room after that Palace game when they beat at the end of the season, they beat Palace in that big game. Like Richarlison was like one of the main ones everyone was excited about in the dressing room, and you can see he has a big influence now. I think he's brought that to Spurs, and on the pitch, he's a bundle of energy. You can't help but be excited when he's involved in the attacking situations, and when he kind of gets you off your seat a bit when he picks up the ball. He's so dangerous when he's directly running at defenders. That little nutmeg on the byline, which set up a chance for Son yesterday, was a prime example of that. He can get in behind if he comes short. He can link the play with Son and with Kane. He needs to work a bit with his link play. Hopefully that will come with a bit more fine tuning, because if he did that, he would be honestly, it would be difficult to leave him out of the team, even though it's difficult now.
His link up play wasn't even terrible yesterday.
I thought
there was some great moments there. Obviously, that link up play with Højbjerg for the goal when Sonny hit the bar, that was him and Richarlison linking up. I mean, it was there for all to see.
I'm not saying it was terrible. I'm just saying he needs to improve on it, because when you're Harry Kane's level, like look at Kane. Kane is an elite link up player. Like literally, when he gets on the ball and he spots a run, someone running behind, 9 times out of 10 he picks out that pass. Richarlison is not quite that. I'm not saying he'll ever get to that, but right now it's like he overhits pass a bit too frequently for my liking. And if he can iron that out, if he can really improve his link up play to a much higher standard, then we're going to have an elite player on our hands. And I think hopefully being at Tottenham now with our training methods and stuff, that we can help him with that. And maybe being around someone like Harry Kane, who, like, if you see the players he's had previously, like Calvert-Lewin and stuff, like these aren't strikers who have anywhere near the ability Kane has, and maybe if we can learn off Kane how to link up play as good as he, or even half as good as he does, then we're gonna have an elite player. But in terms of what he is good at, he's an absolute bundle of energy. The pressures win so many situations where we could win the ball back. Ergo, the first goal. It was his pressing which helped us lead to winning the ball back in the Fulham's third and getting the goal. He's clearly got a pretty good finisher as well when he gets the opportunity. That the technique on that volley was absolutely sensational, and it's such a shame that it bounced out and then we conceded straight away. So just his luck, and it was just like that. But he's as well. What I really like about him is his willingness to do a job for the team as well. He's such a not only pressing wise, but when we're 2-1 up and we need to see out the game, we need minutes. He's so good at running down the clock, getting in the corner flag, getting throw-ins, getting free kicks, holding the ball up. he's really good at that kind of stuff as well, doing a really good job for the team. So Conte must love him for that aspect. And I think he did a good job when he moved to up front as well. Kane went off for the final 15 minutes or so, or whatever it was, 12 minutes. And Richarlison went on top. And I think he did a really admirable job, although he was a bit unlucky with his goal being ruled out. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy with Richarlison. And he's versatile as well. He played off the right yesterday, and he played off the right, and he was just as effective as he was when he plays off the left or in the centre. So it shows how adaptable he is as well. And he's got a box of tricks, and you kind of never really know what he's going to do when he gets the ball, and that's what makes him exciting. It adds a bit of unpredictability to our play. So it's great to have him and Kulusevski as options there on that right hand side, because they both bring two very different things, but two options who are both very effective.
Absolutely. And Sonny, much better yesterday. I mean, we'll go deeper into the player ratings and stuff like that, but I thought Sonny yesterday, he really stepped it up a notch in terms of his will, desire. He was running at them. He was causing them no ends of problems. And he pretty much did everything yesterday apart from score that goal. Hit the bar, had one that was offside, that crept in at the back post. That was more of a cross. But I thought it was a really good display from Sonny yesterday.
Yeah, and I think he'll be annoyed with himself that he didn't get on the score sheet, because he could have. His set pieces were actually really dangerous, especially when he was taking it short as well. It was actually causing problems, and a few times, we had a long lay header that hit the side netting, which was close. We had a few moments where he had a good delivery, and it was causing problems for Fulham, and we very nearly got on the score sheet. And I think he was causing problems for Fulham all day. It wasn't one of those games maybe like against West Ham where he was very quiet on the periphery, he wasn't really involved. He was definitely getting involved in our general play throughout the 90 minutes, and he was a constant threat for Fulham. And he just needs that goal. Conte joked in this press conference that, even in training, Fraser Forster had an absolute worldie against Sonny, and he was even keeping him out in training. And he's just having one of those moments right now.
It's just not falling for him at the moment.
Yeah, but it'll happen. It'll happen for him. He keeps playing like this. I've got no doubts about Sonny that he'll come back into form. And hopefully his form's not getting into him. But as long as he's being involved like he was yesterday, and still making those runs, still being available, you can just see when Kane gets on the ball, he knows he knows where Son's going to be. He makes that run, and he can put it on a plate for him every time. So it'll come for him. It's just a matter of time. I know it's 6 games, no goal, and that's that's unlike Sonny. He usually actually has pretty decent starts to the season, but I'm sure once he gets one, the goals will start flowing again. I've got no doubt about that. And the beautiful thing is right now, even if he's not on form, we've got Richarlison and Kulusevski and Kane all stepping up. So it's not a massive issue.
Yeah. Harry Kane as well, really, really strong display yesterday, dropping deep, linking up the play. I mean, he was pretty much the glue that tied the team together yesterday. His passing ability was on show for everyone to see. Got his goal as well with the poacher's effort at the back post. And another really strong display from Harry Kane, wasn't it?
Yeah, and people talk about our lack of creativity, but when Kane's playing like that, it doesn't exist. We have all the creativity we need when Kane's on the pitch. It's
that ball to Sonny over the top was just delightful, wasn't it?
Yeah, delightful chip on a plate for him, and he was doing those kind of passes all day long. He was finding Emerson in great positions. He was finding Richarlison as well. It was absolutely fantastic throughout the 90 minutes. He did end up getting his goal as well. He forced Leno into a couple of saves. When he's in this kind of form, when he's doing these all-action displays, it's an absolute joy to watch, and he's set such a high bar now for his performances. It's become so normal. Like yesterday, you don't even think about it as like one of his elite displays, but he was unbelievable yesterday. But it's come so normalised. It's like, yeah, that's just a classic Kane performance. That's like a 7 out of 10 for him, because we know when he's truly on top of his game, he can be getting a hat trick and probably more assists on top of that as well. So he's normalising excellence, Harry Kane. He's doing it often, and yesterday was another prime example of that. And it can go under the radar, his display yesterday, but I thought he was absolutely phenomenal yet again. And it's just a shame that we didn't make the most of a lot of his passes and assists, because he should have had at least a couple of assists yesterday, which is maybe a bit frustrating for him because he keeps laying them on a plate. But when the beautiful thing is when he's sitting deep and you've got like, I know Kulusevski is obviously fantastic and I love him a lot, but obviously he's, when you were talking about goal scoring versus creating, Kulusevski is obviously more of a creator than he is a goal scorer. I see Richarlison, even though he hasn't scored yet, I do see him as his biggest threat is when he's attacking the goal. He's more goal scoring, and I do feel when Kane's dropping deep and then we have those runners of Son and Richarlison, we're even more of a threat to teams like running in behind and stuff and goal scoring. Whereas when Kulusevski's in there, nothing to take away Kulusevski, I just feel like Kulusevski sets up Kane and Son more. Whereas I feel like when Kane's dropping deep on Richarlison and Son there, it's like Kane has two runners to aim at rather than Kulusevski, who's maybe not as good as running as Richarlison. So I think it's different threats. It makes us more unpredictable in that sense.
And that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. You want a forward line with many different options that can all do different things, all to a very high level. And I think that's what we've got, even though we all wanted more, which we probably should have got more. But that's a point for another day, for next January transfer window. But the frustrating thing was that we weren't clinical yesterday. That was the frustrating thing, because as much as we dominated the game yesterday, we could have easily dropped points yesterday. Because when Fulham go 2-1 up, when Fulham claw a goal back with Mitrovic, first of all, Romero should be doing a lot better for that goal. We were hanging on there for the last 10 minutes.
Hanging on's a stretch. I think the only chance I had was a deflected effort from 25 yards.
But we were struggling a bit. We were struggling a bit, and if you come up a team with better quality, they can hurt you more. And there was another chance like Mitrovic had that deflected effort where Lloris made a really good save, and Romero got beaten again in that situation.
Yeah, but again, you're talking about a shot from 25 yards, but deflected and
I get that. But what I'm saying is that with so much dominance in the game, it should never come to that. It should never come to that at all. We should have swatted them aside 3-4 yesterday, and then the last 10 minutes, you're talking about a breeze to the last 10 minutes, where yesterday it wasn't so much of a breeze in that last 10 minutes.
I agree, and it's frustrating that's the element, but I'm not annoyed. I'm annoyed we didn't kill the game, but I don't think that's I don't think that's a systemic problem with Tottenham. Being clinical and finishing chances. I think our problem in general is creating the chances. So as long as we're having performances like we are yesterday, where we're creating enough chances, like 9 times out of 10, like when we create the chances we did yesterday, we'll score 3 or 4 goals, 100%. Yesterday it didn't quite happen for us. We came up against an inspired Leno. You have to give Leno credit. I thought he made some absolutely world-class saves, and then there was some prolifergy in our finishing, 100%. I think there was some moments where we just really should have killed the game off and the finishing wasn't there. But when you have Kane, when you have Son, when you have Richarlison, the all you have to do, the aim of the game is just to create chances for them, and they all finish them. And yesterday was unfortunate. We didn't maybe get enough, as many as we should have, but I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about us not finishing chances, because all I'm worried about is supplying the chances to Son and Kane, because they will finish them. I'm certain of it. They will finish them if you supply them enough, and that's what I'm happy about. So when you compare the chances we created yesterday to what we did on Wednesday night, that's the difference. Even though there's only 1 goal difference, the chance level creation was a night and day.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. That's what we got to focus on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're completely right there. Look, you're completely right. It was just the only source of frustration in the game yesterday, that we didn't kill the game. We weren't clinical enough yesterday.
And even the chances we conceded, I think they had 3 shots on target. One of them was a brilliant finish from Mitrovic. Obviously, Romero should be doing better, but you have to give him credit. What a finish that is from a tight angle. And then the other 2 chances, which Lloris saved, both outside the box, both deflected efforts, and would have both been very lucky goals if they would have scored. Not
2 great saves from Lloris, by the way.
But it wasn't as if they cut us open, earned chances. They had 2 shots which deflected and nearly looped over Lloris. You know what I mean? How lucky would you have to be to have two moments like that?
Absolutely, you got to be lucky. But if you don't kill the game, that luck can go against you at times. And that's the honest truth about it. And we ran that risk a bit yesterday by not being as clinical as we could have been.
But I don't think it's indicative of the team's quality or anything like that.
It's not indicative of the team's quality, but it was just the situation we found ourselves in yesterday.
Yeah, and if that happens, you have to just say that's just unlucky. I won't even say we deserve the drop points or we had it coming or anything. You have to say that is just, if you have 2 moments like that where a deflection goes against you, that is just a massive slice of luck. And I think we restricted Fulham really well. They had barely any chances. They had those moments, but those moments you have to say would have been lucky if they would have gone in. They didn't have any chances really from inside the box apart from the goal, and obviously we created a bucket load. So for me, great performance, and I have to, and I think Fulham. I think even the manager, you very rarely see managers accept that we deserve to lose. And Marcus Hill was like, I have to be honest, Tottenham deserved the 3 points, and that's that.
Yeah. All right. But let's move on. Let's talk about some of the stats and the key positions on the pitch and stuff like that. Sim, take it away.
Yeah. So let's bring on the phone. It's just going to be looking at the average position of the team, and you can see how high Ryan Sessegnon is at the left-hand side. We thought maybe that because we saw Perisic was in a fairly similar position a lot of the time when we were playing, when he was starting. We thought maybe it's just because we balanced it out because Perisic is such an attacking winger. Maybe it's like Emerson will hang back and Perisic can go forward. But even with Sessegnon there, it seems to be a case where, I don't know if it's instruction, but it seems the left-hand side we're a lot more willing to get
Vinny, I think there's some... okay.
What's it called? I think with the left back, it seems to be an instruction from Conte to get them forward a lot higher than the right, which is something that has been indicative of our season, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. So Sessegnon was a lot higher. It was even higher than Richarlison for most of the game, as you can see here. Richarlison a bit deeper. Son is becoming a bit of a theme. Son's our most our player furthest forward. I think it's because he's got his pace running in behind. That's what threatens teams. And I think that's when he starts getting a bit, when he's not in that position, that's when he starts getting a bit nullified, I think, when he's not our furthest player forward. So I think that's something that Conte's been working on. Obviously, you see Kane dropping a bit deeper. Longlay's position is a bit interesting because when it was Davis in the team, he was actually a bit wider than Longley there. Longley is a bit more tucked in, but he's not as close to Dyer as Romero is on that side. It's a bit weird. On the right side, they seem to be a lot more clumped together than they are on the left. On the left, it seems to be a bit more spread out, and I wonder why that is with the team. And as always, in the centre, Bentancur and Højbjerg always so close to each other, which is very, very interesting. Very little space between the midfielders. So it's very interesting. But yeah, those are the average positions throughout the team, which I think is fairly interesting to look at throughout the game and see what positions each players are taking up. Because I think a lot of the time we mention where players are in the pitch and where we think they're pushing high and stuff, and it's interesting to get a visualization of that on screen and stuff. Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting how deep Richarlison actually was on the pitch yesterday. And now come to think about it, he was doing a lot of good work in those areas of the pitch, winning the ball back in key areas and pressing forward and really spreading the play, making those nice little 1-2s where he can run off and peel off defenders. And that's kind of, if Kulusevski was on the pitch, where would he be on this kind of map? He'll be a bit further forward, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Usually a bit further wider as well. A bit further forward, a bit wider, which is what we've seen from Kulusevski, which is fairly interesting. But it's something to keep an eye on when Richarlison plays. And interesting to see if Richarlison does take up Son's position if and when he does. It'll be interesting to see where Richarlison takes up. Is he going to be a lot deeper like he is now, or is he going to be that one trying to run beyond the last man like Son does, because that gives us that extra threat. And I guess that's why maybe as well we have such balance with Kulusevski there as well, because when him being the creator and Son running in behind, it just gives us, and then you've got Kane there, maybe it allows Kane to push a bit further forward, but it gives great balance there. But I would have thought maybe Richarlison would be running beyond Kane, but he's still... Maybe it's because he's such a hard worker. He does so much work in the midfield.
That's exactly what we saw yesterday, because he was everywhere, Richarlison, yesterday. He was literally everywhere on that pitch. And, that was his average position yesterday. But when you actually see him on the game, he was literally buzzing like a bee everywhere around the whole final third of the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get up SofaScore and look at some of the heat maps. So if you look at... First of all, you look at Richarlison. Look at his heat map. He had so many touches in and around. He was pretty much everywhere, Richarlison, which was really good to see. He was literally having touches all over the pitch, and he was being very, very difficult to deal with, Richarlison. And it's interesting to see how many touches he has here, even on that left-hand side, when he's playing on the right, which is he had an ability to come over as well. And that's like in a defensive position. He's doing so much good work defensively as well. He's such a hard worker for the team. And it's something that the Everton fans mentioned, how hard he works.
And also with Richarlison, there was like this narrative from Spurs fans when we signed him, or just before we signed him, when we were linked to him, saying this guy's got a bad attitude, and maybe he won't work for the team as much as other players would, and when he gets the hump and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm seeing from Richarlison is brilliant attitude, great application on the pitch, and a really hard worker, and exactly the kind of head that the team needs right now.
Yeah, I never had a doubt about his attitude. I always thought he was going to be like, in that sense, we're going to fall in love with him. I never understood why people thought he had an attitude problem. I thought that was always a bit weird to me. So I think we're seeing that now, how he's humbled himself in a sense where, although he's got that shithousery about him, I think the way he applies himself, like he's not too big of a player to put in the hard work, and I think we're definitely seeing that, and I think we saw that with Everton as well. If we're looking at Clement Lenglet's average position, it's quite on the left hand side of the back three, which is what we expect. But Davis is, I don't know if I can go back right now, but if you go back to his game on Wednesday, he's a lot more wider and a lot higher up compared to Lenglet. So maybe that's the position he needs to be. He doesn't get into the forward positions maybe as much as Davis does, but his incisive passing was definitely a massive help. Harry Kane, you can see, even though he was creating quite a lot more, he actually did have quite a few touches in the penalty area, which is vital when because you don't want him to lose that presence in the penalty area, Harry Kane. As much as he's got a brilliant playmaking, you want him to always have that goal threat, because without that goal threat, I know we saw Son Richarlison, but he's still an elite finisher, and you always want him in and around the penalty area when possible to make sure you can maximise those opportunities when he gets there. And I think, do you believe now compared to maybe when he was under Mourinho, is he getting closer to goal now under Conte, or do you reckon he's still playing a very similar role to what he was?
I think he is getting closer to goal, and I think you're seeing that in the goals he's scoring. I mean, the majority, if not every goal he's scored this season has been more like a poacher's effort, where he's at the back post, winning headers and stuff like that. So I think that you are seeing a Harry Kane that is getting closer to goal. Conte alluded to it as well, one of his press conference, saying like he's always been an absolute elite or world-class number 10, but now he's becoming an elite and world-class number 9, and number 9 gets really close to goal, and you're seeing that as well in the goals that he's scoring.
Yeah, and but he's still got that playmaking ability, doesn't he?
Of course.
Harry Kane, which is unbelievable. If you look at Fulham's best player, Leno, he made 8 saves yesterday, 6 inside the box, and that's how impressive he was yesterday, Bernd Leno. He really made some. I mean, that's a lot of saves to be making during a game on target, and that testament to how busy we kept him. And even though we ended up winning the game, still their best player by far was Leno. Even though Mitrovic gave us a bit of trouble as well going the other end, he was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I think in general, really strong performance. If you look at what you call this is the I don't know what it's called. It's called like a progress bar or threat bar or something like that. This thing that SofaScore have made, and when the lines are high, that's when you're most threatening, and when your lines are low, obviously that means you're providing very little threat. And you can see throughout the whole 90 minutes, Tottenham are the ones providing a lot of threat throughout the 90. Fulham had spurts, as you can see, mostly late in the game on the right-hand side there.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was talking about, the last 10 minutes. We came under pressure in those last 10 minutes, and with only one goal in it, it could have been a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, but it should never have been that, should it? And that's reality. It says here as well, near the beginning, they were a bit more threatening, but obviously, if you look how high the threat bars are, for us compared to Fulham. Like even when Fulham's are high, they're not that high compared to Tottenham, which it was pretty much a dominant display throughout 90 minutes, and that was the most important thing. And for the overall stats as well, 23 shots for Spurs, 10 on target, 7 off target. 10 corners compared to 3. Fulham did have 9 shots, but only 3 on target, which were all Mitrovic from outside the box pretty much. Big chances. We had 3 throughout the game. We hit the woodwork twice. Out of our 17 shots, 6 of them were outside the box, so a big majority of them were inside the box as well. Outpassing Fulham fairly well as well. Accurate passes. The long balls were even. Crosses. We had 21 crosses yesterday, which 7 of them were accurate, which is good. And obviously duels won, aerials won. We're winning that as well. So stats massively in our favour throughout the game, and it was a really positive display. As you can see, the play areas, majority of the game, even though there's probably us playing possession, which is why you see a lot of possession in our third. But you can see the concentrated area is definitely in the middle of the park. But we were massively on top throughout the game, and it was really encouraging compared to some of the other displays we've had this season.
All right. Well, that is our match review from the 2-1 win against Fulham yesterday.